Hello, everyone. Welcome to this little Twitter space where we'll be discussing NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain. Small discussion. Mostly, I'm going to talk educatively, make correct amount of pointers on what the current debate really is about. The debate currently is about saving NFTs onto the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, before we do that, it is perhaps wise, in my opinion, to cover the basics on how an NFT is being saved onto the blockchain, how the mechanism works. Now, there exist two ways to go about with this, and I'm first going to give a little breakdown on the classic method on how it works. Now, first one is, well, you go to a platform such as OpenSea or Rarible, you have a digital file you want to tokenize and make into an NFT. Upload the file to the platform mints it for you onto the blockchain, and you have your NFT. That's in very broken down layman terms. Now, the true mechanism is this. The platform itself uploads the digital file to an external third server, and it creates, for convenience sake, a sort of referral link with an API behind it, so something to allow it for you to view. That referral link is in all actuality being saved onto the blockchain as some form of message. The second you are on the platform and you want to start viewing your NFT, well, on the platform, it will be redirected by the link, and you will be finally able to see your NFT in all of its glory. Now, the second mechanism, and this is where will be talking about with the Ordinals Protocol, or saving NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain, and how it functions and what the debate is all about. Part of it is, I'm going to say, similar. What is going to be similar? Well, the process of saving text onto the blockchain. However, what concerns Ordinals Protocol, the text being saved onto the blockchain is not a referral link. It is going to be a part of the program. What kind of program? Well, it can best be compared towards a zip file. What's a zip file for those really not familiar with ICT and data management? A zip file is nothing more than a compressed file. Take, for example, that you have a folder on your computer, plenty of images, and you say, look, I want to save up some disk space. You are going to zip it or compress those files onto the computer, and instead of the map being, the folder being, for example, 1 megabyte, it suddenly turns out to be 500 kilobytes. You have halved of its size, but the images still remain. You can still view them by or decompressing them and seeing them in full. This is more or less the same thing that is going to occur with Ordinals Protocol and what we call inscriptions. Inscriptions is nothing more than leaving messages onto the blockchain. Inscriptions take place, as you might have noticed, like with the first mechanism as well, but instead of it being a program, it's going to be a referral code. Ordinals Protocol, with the current discussion of NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain, it is going to be a full-sized program. A program, if we take, for example, the saving of a JPEG or an image, well, it will decompress the image in such a way that it is programmed to reconstruct the image based on a certain amount of pointers. That's what Ordinals Protocol does. Now, how does it work? Well, quite simply, what is an ordinance? An ordinance is nothing more than a measure. You can compare it to going to a hotel and rating it on a scale of 1 to 10. That's an ordinance. What is an ordinance being used for on the Bitcoin blockchain? Well, it is giving a numerical value to satoshis or sats, the smallest increment of 1 Bitcoin. By giving it a serial number, you can allow messages to be inscribed, thus inscription, onto the blockchain. And well, writing down images onto the blockchain, especially for Bitcoin, is something, well, which has been taking place for a long while. If you look at the past history of Bitcoin, you know that Satoshi Nakamoto himself inscribed a headliner um, onto the Bitcoin blockchain, still viewable by everyone. During halving events, certain crypto punks, the real ones with some good programming knowledge, managed as well to inscribe to inscribe texts onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's a mechanism which exists for some time. However, what Ordinals Protocol does is taking it a step further. Instead of leaving down messages, they are now compiling small programs which will save digital files in its entirety onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And this is where the discussion starts. Most of the discussion, well, tends to be about, do NFTs have a place on the Bitcoin blockchain or on the Bitcoin network? And it is a bit of a heated debate. Most of the debate concerns, well, about the value of Bitcoin, about what it will do with the value of Bitcoin. And for that, it generally is being compared to Ethereum as to what will happen. The yes sayers, such as Dan Held from on Twitter, is naturally in favor of bringing NFTs in such a way onto the Bitcoin network, onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And in a series of tweets he launched on January 29th of this year, he says it's a good thing because it brings more financial use cases to Bitcoin, and it drives as well more demand for block space, also known as fees. In itself, that's a very good statement. It is a correct statement. However, my issue is that Bitcoin hasn't been developed with NFTs as a use case in mind. It doesn't mean it isn't possible to save or create NFTs onto the Bitcoin blockchain. My issue is it wasn't incepted with dApp development in mind. And for that, I'm going to refer to the very first page of the Bitcoin white paper and its title, where it clearly says Bitcoin, peer-to-peer electronic cash system. There's no talk about decentralized app development, etc. The entire blockchain and its algorithm has been geared for making peer-to-peer electronic cash systems. Simple as that. There's nothing more to add here. Naturally, plenty of people in the crypto sphere are speculators, are people who want to see their portfolio rise in value. To me, that's also a fair point, but on that account, I dare say, well, I'm more of a fundamentalist. I'm not going to say maximalist, I'm going to say fundamentalist. I see blockchain projects for their merit and what they bring to the table. I keep an eye out on the goals, on why it has been developed, and less so on their potential future value. It's one of the reasons why I do my Crypto Bull episodes. I analyze based on what the ultimate goal is for the project. And that's one of the reasons and one of the red flags I raised during the last bull run of 2021, my apologies. During said bull run, there were plenty of projects being incepted, but suddenly had widespread goals. There was no singular focus, and they started developing a decentralized finance marketplace and exchange. You could do NFTs, and it could be used for this and that, and well, there was no real focus. So those were red flags, and you could see that the team involved was more about money and not really bringing something new to the table. And perhaps you can call me a Bitcoin maximalist, but I will and keep on referring to that Bitcoin white paper title, Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System. Do NFTs have a place on the Bitcoin blockchain? I'm going to say no, because it wasn't developed with that in mind. Now, what are the issues with the Ordinals Protocol and creating NFTs directly on the Bitcoin blockchain? Well, difference here is to do with, naturally, one part of the discussion is about immutability or the ability to censor NFTs. On the other hand, it has to do as well with, well, congestion of the network. Let's begin with congestion on the network, and for that I'm going to refer to Ethereum once again. Back in the day, long before the 2021 bull run, Ethereum you could transact for very reasonable prices, even during bull run. Transaction fee was but a few cents. Ethereum didn't have as many projects built on it as it has today. Ethereum didn't have to deal with so much NFTs on its blockchain being saved. And in this sense, I'm going to refer to the mechanism I explained earlier of the referral links towards the EPFS or Arweave, whereby the digital file is being stored. There's a referral link through the platforms. Those referral links still are data which take up block space. A block is entirely filled, no files or additional information can be stored, and you get congestion, meaning your gas fees, your transaction fees start to rise in a certain priority mechanism. You have to start paying more in order for your transactions to pass through. And this still is a problem with the Ethereum network. Due to many builds and due to the many NFTs present with all of their referral links, there's a high degree of congestion when the network sees plenty of activity during a bull run. And you will see currently, if I'm not mistaken, the Ethereum gas fees are between $1 to $5 approximately. During the last bull run, it wasn't rare to see, due to congestion and due to the blocks being filled to the brim, it wasn't rare to see transaction fees and gas fees of $100s and upwards. That's congestion. That's a big problem. And we are talking here about the first mechanism with a simple referral link. The blocks on the Ethereum network were aplenty. There was almost no space anymore to save other transactions. And this is something that can be problematic for the Bitcoin network as well. Since that, in this case, with the Ordinals Protocol, you are no longer using referral links, but you are putting in programs. You are putting in code. And while said code will allow for heavy files to be saved in a much smaller size, your block space still remains limited. Your block space will fill up more. Your block space will fill up faster, which can lead to congestion. Now, the big difference here between Ethereum and the classic way on how NFTs are being saved there has to do naturally with immutability and the way NFTs are being saved. With Ordinals Protocol, the NFTs themselves are being saved on the blockchain, meaning they have all the advantages of the Bitcoin network, mainly of that being uncensorable, by reason the image or text or video or audio or whatever digital file is directly present on the blockchain. In the case of Ethereum and collections such as Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, Millionaire Ape Yacht Club, and many others, these files are being stored on a third-party service provider. and there's the referral link. These NFTs can be censored. Also, well, quite easily, OpenSea or Rarible can block the API, meaning the platform is saying towards its users, look, this NFT does not comply with our code or with the information that can be shared. So we're blocking the API. It is no longer viewable on our platform. That's also an important distinction. By reason, in the past, there was a Crypthusiast during the previous bull run who said, I have lost my NFTs. They are yada, yada, yada. And I said, no, you still have ownership of that NFT, but you can only no longer view it on the platform itself. If you go through a blockchain explorer, you can see that the NFT still is present, is still available in your wallet. You can only no longer see it through the platform because they blocked a part of it. It became censored. That's one way to censor an NFT. Another one is, well, I'm still talking about the first mechanism here with the third-party service provider. The third way is that the servers of our Weaver, for example, become corrupted or become hacked, whereby tons of NFTs suddenly become unavailable. In your wallet, the referral link will still remain. You still have ownership of that message, but you can no longer view the NFT itself for all of eternity. You still have ownership of the text which was put into it. And this differentiated from the Ordinals Protocol and the NFTs being created that way. There's an entire program behind it, but everything is saved onto the Bitcoin blockchain. It doesn't matter which platform you're using, doesn't matter which blockchain explorer, which is Bitcoin compatible, you are using, the NFT will remain there for all of eternity and viewable. That's the big difference between the two. So currently, the ongoing and raging debate focuses on two aspects: possible future congestion of the network, as well as, and that's mostly being brought up as the counter argument, that the NFTs created in such a way can bring more financial use cases and drives for a higher demand for block spaces, also known as increasing transaction fees. Now, myself, I'm not all too much of a fan of viewing things through a financial lens. Part of me is a little bit of a Bitcoin maximalist, whereby I say, look, Bitcoin is community driven. It is digital money from the people for the community, supported by a worldwide community. And for this, I'm going to refer towards an interview I'll be doing this Sunday with Bitcoin Data. And we are going to focus on Bitcoin and its use in third world countries like Africa and poor countries like El Salvador, where Bitcoin is currently being used, and mostly going to talk Africa here, as a way to escape hyperinflation and pressure from governments. Bitcoin in Africa really is freedom money. It is uncensorable, can be used, and it maintains value or even increases in value over time. The introduction of NFTs and the drive for higher gas fees as a result due to limited block space can be disastrous for many people who use Bitcoin in such countries. By reason the tax fees, transaction fees, suddenly start increasing, meaning if you want to make a transaction for a small amount, say for example you want to buy your groceries in Africa and it costs $20, suddenly your transaction fees can suddenly top up towards $2 to $3. That's quite a lot of money to move, but a small amount. And that's a problem we have seen with Ethereum during the previous bull run. People who wanted to move for even $100 worth of Ethereum suddenly had to pay, well, gas fees in excess of $200. It was insane. Plenty of people decided to not move their NFTs or any of their coins until gas fee is lowered, that there was less congestion until there was less activity on the blockchain. That's a problematic thing to occur. It is something which can break down the entire network, no matter how secure it is. Use case and its goal as peer-to-peer cash, electronic cash, should remain as it is. So on that account, I dare say the introduction of NFTs in such a way, well, it isn't very much to my liking. Now, you might have noticed I've been focusing on Ordinals Protocol mostly and explained how it works. However, Ordinals Protocol isn't the only one who introduced NFTs onto the Bitcoin blockchain or even in the Bitcoin network. By reason, well, as you guys have noticed, I've always been talking about two different mechanisms. Stack, for example, which is also a platform, an NFT platform, is entirely based on the Bitcoin blockchain as well. And it was probably one of the first to introduce NFTs onto the Bitcoin network and onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And it makes use of, well, the first mechanism with referral links that I explained earlier. So in a sense, NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain isn't something new. The point of discussion here is mostly how it is being done and the implications it might have. With that is a little bit my discussion, well, a little bit my breakdown of the current issues with NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain and its relation with the Ordinals Protocol. If there are any questions, I would like to hear them, or even remarks. I see there's Stan here. Going to put him as my co-host in case he has a few questions. So I'm taking questions now. If you have any, just pose them or some critique. Otherwise, I'm going to stop this little space. Doesn't seem to react. On that account, I'm going to say thank you all for having. Oh, hold on a second. There we go. Stan, you can talk if you want to. Just unmute your microphone. Hello.
Hey, yeah, the point you made about congestion is actually a big problem for Bitcoin because their block times are very slow. So if you fill them up with NFTs, then you have a second problem because your normal transactions of peer-to-peer payments aren't going through, and you get congestion on that way. So a whole lot of other platforms that use Bitcoin as payment, let's say centralized exchanges and payment with crypto cards like bank cards, Visa, MasterCard, and all those are going to have some issues and problems if they are going to fill up those blocks very fast.
Well, indeed, that's one of the major problems, and it's one of the reasons why I took the general term of congestion. It's not only limited towards the limited block size of 1 megabyte, which is the block size limit for Bitcoin, but as well its mining time for a block, which is 10 minutes. So congestion is really a more and bigger general problem on the Bitcoin network than, for example, with Ethereum. In the sense that Ethereum has much smaller block times, which allows for better scaling. It's one of the reasons why I said that there's a difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin, with Bitcoin being developed as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, whereas Ethereum on the get-go was begun as a decentralized app development platform. By reason their block size limit and naturally their block times are entirely different. In the case of Ethereum, much faster and much bigger, and even they due to all the decentralized applications which have been built on it, well, have congestion problems. So I can only imagine
Indeed.
what would happen on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, for all the rest, I agree with you, man. On the, I get people who want NFTs on Bitcoin because that's one more use case of Bitcoin, but it's not the thing Bitcoin has been envisioned for. Bitcoin is just normally peer-to-peer cash payments. That's all. And for NFTs and smart contract deploying, you have, like you said, much better blockchains with faster times, even better. There are even better blockchains than Ethereum, in my opinion. But yeah, I get the discussion. That's just people who want to push the price of Bitcoin higher by cramming more use case into Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why I would consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist. I adhere to its white paper because therein is specified what its goal is: peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And I understand the people who say, yeah, just as you said, more use cases for Bitcoin, etc., etc. It might be true, but you are not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to reinvent hot water. I mean, those things have been discovered, and there exist better alternatives already. Alternatives who have been explored in detail due to experience and their running time, whereby people saw what the limitations are. Um, I mean, sure, I can understand you can do it on the Bitcoin network, but it doesn't mean it should be done. That's the main issue. And I understand people, well, most of the people just do it out of speculative nature and want to see it increase tremendously in value. Whereas I say it will increase tremendously in value over time due to already present mechanisms. You do not need to make add-ons which can break down. So yeah, it comes really down to a discussion of overloading the chain up to the point it becomes unusable. So yeah, that's basically it. Now, if there's anyone else who would like to talk or have questions, now's the time. Just raise your hands, pop up, and otherwise I'm going to slowly start stopping this space. By the way, this Twitter space is being recorded. You will be able to hear it later on for a week. It's also going to be downloaded and uploaded onto YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey as a little podcast. So with that being done for your educational and listening leisure. So, okay, guys, thanks you all for listening. Hope to see and hear you next time. Bye.
Bye.